They wanted to maintain the luxury high-end tenants and hopefully prevent them from wanting to move out. So Fairweather came along. I think it's a Canadian company. Fairweather owned brands. So they wanted to have a brand. I think it's a Quebec company as well. But Oxford wasn't having it. They didn't want a down market tenant in Yorkdale. So that's what it comes down to. And so even though the deal was between Hudson's Bay and Fairweather about who is going to take over Hudson's Bay vacant space, and of course, who's going to pay Hudson's Bay, if you notice one thing about landlords, they never pay you. You pay a lot of money in rent to the landlord, whether it's residential or commercial space, but landlords never pay you. So Fairweather wanted to pay Hudson's Bay a lot of money to take over the lease. They don't want to do that. Okay, my prediction is that they're going to divide up the space of Hudson's Bay that used to be all Hudson's Bay, and they're going to do similar to what different landlord, Cadillac Fairview, but similar to what they did with the Sears or Nordstrom space and divide it up to 25 different stores. So then you have a lot of different rent coming from a lot of different places, rent money. So, landlords, they do very well, whether the economy is doing well or not doing well, or whether you are doing well on a personal level or a not so personal level, you and your family are doing well, landlords get paid. Every single first of the month is their favorite day of the month because it's automatic. So anyways, on February 10th, 2026, so that was this year, just recently, February 10th, Fairweather owned brand, they were blocked. The Ontario judge blocked them from occupying the 3-4 commercial space at the request of the landlord. Oxford is going to be able to do whatever they want, and they're probably very, very happy. So once again, just remember, these Canadian landlords are very forward thinking. Okay, Canada's got very smart people and some maybe not so smart people, but the landlords are some of the savviest business people, very shrewd business people you could ever meet. Whatever country they come from originally, whether they come from Asia, whether they come from South America, whether they come from Europe, whether they come from Africa. I guess there might be some landlords from Africa too. But commercial, if you can find a tenant and get them to pay tens of thousands of dollars per month, you're making a lot of money. And when they stop paying, of course, you get zero. Anything times zero is zero. But that's temporary pain. And eventually, once they renovate the space of Hudson's Bay, Yorkdale, they'll probably find some new tenants. So I think I'm going to end this here. I hope nobody at Hudson's Bay finds this video to be offensive. I've learned that some people don't like the truth, but this is the truth. They tried to sell their leases. They tried to make whatever money they could make. And probably the money that they would have made from Fairweather and from Ruby Lou, from them taking over the leases, that probably would have went to the creditors, because the problem is Hudson's Bay doesn't have enough to pay their existing landlords. Okay. So in order to come up with the money to repay the landlords, they tried to sell their leases. But the same landlords that need that money back, they said, okay, they'd rather take the loss, they'd rather lose now in order to win later on, and to position their shopping centers to win in the long term. And to win in business means positive cash flow. Once you have negative cash flow, you need 4 things really. You need appeal, you need awareness, you need affordability, and you need accessibility. Okay? And if you have 1 out of the 4, it's not good enough. If you have 3 out of the 4, it's not good enough. You need all 4 things in business consistently. So that's why you need to continue to invest in research and development affordably, and responsibly invest in research and development so that you have something that is appealing. Because the first one is the hardest. Creating something that is affordable, maybe you can do it. Something that's cheap. But something that's cheap is it's not always that good. The product experiences. What experience do you get after you purchase the product? What does it do? What does it add to your life? How does it make you feel? The senses. So most of the research and development goes towards that, creating something that is appealing, something that is attractive, that's going to motivate people to buy on an individual personal basis, and then also motivate them to go home and tell their friends and tell their family about what a great job you're doing. So that's the awareness too. The number one thing you could do for marketing is referrals. Referrals, also known as word of mouth. And the same thing with East Africa Showcase. What I want to tell you now is this: if you don't have those four things, if you don't have the appeal, if you don't have the awareness, if people don't know you exist, if people can't afford your product, if people can't access, the last thing too is very important, accessibility. Why are they building Ontario line from where Science Center used to be all the way across, diagonal, think of it, diagonally through the Eden Center again, through Queen. Yeah, I don't think they changed the name of Queen Station. Cadillac Fairview is very happy with that because you have more ways to access their property at Yonge and Dundas. Yeah, that accessibility, being close to transit, one thing you'll notice is that higher priced real estate is always near transit. So accessibility is very tough as well because you can't be in two places at once. You can't be in Brampton and downtown Toronto at the same time. But if you have the awareness, once again, if you have affordability and if you have the appeal, people will travel from any distance to come and see you. And so I'm not going to say Hudson's Bay was a failure completely because they're in a very competitive market. And when you've been selling things at a certain price, at a certain profit margin for so many years, and then you have Amazon and then you have Walmart coming in, buying, they have lower cost inventory. That means they have lower prices, lower margins too, but they're going to have more customers because they have lower prices. People will, once again, they will travel longer distances to save $2 or to save $20 or to save whatever amount of money. Nobody ever travels towards the business that has the highest price. You usually travel to whoever has the lowest price, but then the quality needs to be there as well. If it's not something that is appealing, something that is attractive, nobody's going to show up. So Hudson's Bay, from one aspiring Canadian, I guess you could say entrepreneur, to another, I rest in peace to Hudson's Bay because it was so many great times. I have so many great memories at Hudson's Bay, so many great clothes that I bought, and now my future children, grandchildren, and your future children will no longer have the experience of a department store. But they tried their best, and I guess the debt was it was too much. That's the other thing too, is because nobody will lower your debt for you. The only way to lower your debt is to repay the debt. But if you have less money coming in, how can you pay off your existing debt? That's the difficulty. So don't spend money you don't have, but continue to invest responsibly in research and innovation so you can have something that is appealing. I think that's the lesson I get from Hudson's Bay. And when it comes to competition, nobody could have predicted the internet. Nobody can predict if you go back to 1994, that's what they say. The same year I was born, 1994. If you see how people were talking about the internet, people thought it was just for kids. People are just going to play games on the internet. There was going to be no commerce. People wouldn't be spending all their time on the internet. But you're watching this video on the internet. I hope you got something informative from this. I hope you got something entertaining from this. And I hope we have this conversation too on a different subject. But thank you again to Hudson's Bay. Thanks for the memories. And thank you for watching this video. Thank you very much.